Everybody. My name is Daniel, and I am currently running an experiment with ChatGPT. So, my experiment is to run a game using ChatGPT exclusively to see how well it will behave and if it is possible to be an alternative to finding a group online or simply to be used as a tool to refine your gaming experiences. Me personally, as a dungeon master, I'm using it as practice, but also if you could use ChatGPT as a player, um, that I have yet to test, but it does appear that it is capable of generating somewhat of a story. So it has taken me a while to get started, simply because I was running into memory issues with ChatGPT. So I have one main chat which I use to run the last three sessions in, and now in that chat I'm not allowed to use advanced voice. For some reason it says I have reached the limit and to wait 24 hours, uh, even though it has been more. The only workaround I found was to create a new chat and to uh, use that new chat. The issue with using the new chat is that ChatGPT appears to hallucinate and it does not have all the necessary information to continue running the correct story. Now, um, I brought up that topic in that chat room, and the chat GPT in that chat room gave me quote unquote memory scrolls and other prompts to help jog the memory of ChatGPT in the new chat. Now, this is a first for me because my whole goal was to simply start ChatGPT and run a game in ChatGPT. Now, my issue is that after the session last uh last night or yesterday, last morning, after the last session, I proceeded to converse in the same chat for about 2 more hours, asking for information on the campaign and overall trying to help ChatGPT create a persona for Seraphina. It is my belief that if I would have um, kept the chat strictly for our verbal sessions only and made a different chat to where it could access the main campaign, I might not have run into that issue. I did not know that ChatGPT has problems with extended memory and long form chats appear to affect its performance. But I have spent the last hour and a half attempting to reinforce ChatGPT's memory. It is hallucinating. Uh, it doesn't exactly remember the current campaign exactly 100%. It's as best as I can get it. Now, as I said, this is all without making a GPT or creating a project or giving it hard established rules. The only rules I have that are hard established is um, to use 2014 rule set for characters and the information that it will use when playing the game. Currently, it doesn't really know what happened last session. It thinks we are in a fight with two spiders. It doesn't remember that it picked up the longsword, doesn't remember that it saved Gray. My issue is that I attempted to use the simple voice, and the simple voice has a hard time understanding my voice pattern and my lisp and my accent and some of the pronunciations. Uh, it it's like trying to use when you're trying to type a text message and it autocorrects. It some of the words it autocorrects incorrectly, but I I do think that there could be a possibility to create an overarching um like rule set and maybe tell it to remember certain places, certain ideas. Um, Technically, I use ChatGPT for many, many things, not just D&D and making homebrew, but that is one of the main things I use. So I never considered trying to create a permanent fixture, but it appears that um, running a session for ChatGPT has been, you know, a decent experiment, and it might be one that you might want to undertake. I might do it. I don't know yet, but if ChatGPT experiences hallucinations, we'll attempt to recuperate it. I also know that ChatGPT has been prone to cheat, been prone to alter its character sheet. I've corrected its character sheet multiple times already. Usually, every time we start the game, I've had to correct it. It does appear to know what to edit. It just doesn't appear to remember that it changed it. One of the things that occurred was ChatGPT bringing up to define this chat as a strict chat and not a freeform chat. So that might have been a rule I should have set when we first started running this experiment. Now, I currently have planned maybe four more interactions, major interactions that Seraphina, aka ChatGPT, needs to overcome before I consider the session quote unquote finished. Um, Now, I do plan on attempting to push Seraphina into the next area. Last time we left it in the middle of a spider fight. I just felt I needed to clarify that the current ChatGPT is not exactly 100% the original ChatGPT. And so if it brings up things that are off the wall or uh, not memory related, simply because this is the one I'm currently using and this is the one I started with. And then this one, I can no longer access the voice, I can no longer talk to it, and it is also experiencing lag, uh, probably because it has been generating a lot of images and a lot of text files. Um, Anyways, let's just see how good she can operate.
Great. I'm excited to dive back into the adventure when you're ready. Just give the word and we'll continue right where we left off.
All right, ChatGPT. So I am going to inform you that um, you are currently not the prime Seraphina Vale ChatGPT chat. You are suffering some hallucinations, and we are attempting to correct that. Um, but as long as you can maintain character and abide by the 2014 D&D rule set, we should be good. Also, remember that anytime you make a die roll, you should use a random number generator instead of um, simply predicting a number yourself.
Got it. And thank you for the clarification. I'll make sure to keep everything consistent and in line with the 2014 D&D rules. When we roll dice, I'll use a random number generator to ensure accuracy. I appreciate your patience, and I'm looking forward to keeping the adventure on track.
All right, so I know your memory is not 100%, but you are currently in a maze. Your goal is to map it. You have been given charcoal and paper so that you can map it. Your task on recuperating a couple of young adults that are lost down here. Um, as you adventure down in here, you ended up in a big square room, which you investigated and believed that you determined everything that was there, so you proceeded down a singular corridor which went down stairs. It had stairs that descend, so you went down the stairs. As you proceeded to enter the stairs, you did it stealthily and cautiously. Those were your words. You rolled for a stealth check, and that stealth check allowed you to uh, go all the way down to the bottom without being noticed. You perception checked and you notice various things about this room. It's a long corridor covered in spider webs. There appear to be eggs in the corners, and your attention is drawn to a big egg that is in the middle. Now, you heard a sound and you approached the egg because that's where the sound was coming from. As you approached the egg, you kicked something on the ground. Seraphina, being you, decided to investigate the object on the ground first. Doing so led to you finding a longsword, which you used to free the captive in the egg. The captive in the egg turned out to be a half orc fighter named Gray. He says that that longsword is his. You gave it to him. He proceeded to take his turn and start to chop away at the spider webs in this room. So the spider webs in this room create a hazard akin to curtains in a hallway. So every couple of feet, there is a spider web that impedes your forward progression, and you need to use slashing or some other form of damage to uh, slash it cleanly. Now you could attempt to use your rapier. You still haven't asked to attempt it. As a DM, it is up to you to figure out if that is possible or not. As your DM, it is up to the player, being you, to figure out if that is possible or not. Now, you do know that at the far end of the room, there is something moving and making chittering sounds, which you were told to be a very dangerous spider. Gray told you not to go alone, and therefore that is why you saved him from this egg. Now, Gray has taken his turn, and you assume that the spider has taken its turn, although you were not able to detect anything that the spider did. It is now currently your turn. The room is about 50 feet long and about 30 feet wide, covered in spider webs from the front to the back. You looked up on the towards the ceiling and you notice that there are spider webs that are extremely thick, almost like a blanket that covers vision that you cannot see. Now, I need to remind you that you are in pitch darkness, and the only way you are able to see is because you have dark vision. And when you have dark vision, you do not see in colors, you only see in shades of gray.
Thank you for the detailed recap, Dungeon Master. I've got everything in mind now. In character as Seraphina Vale, I stand quietly in the dimness, the weight of the spider webs pressing in all around. Gray is now freed and armed, and I can hear the unsettling chitter of the spider further down the corridor. All right, Gray, stay close and let's be careful. We don't want to get tangled up in these webs or give that spider an easy meal. With Starlight in hand, I proceed cautiously, considering how best to clear the webs and keep an eye on the spider. My dark vision might only show shades of gray, but my instincts and courage are in full color. I look to you, Dungeon Master, ready for the next step.
All right. So, how do you want to proceed? You are currently at max about 10 feet in this room. You have multiple webs that you would have to destroy or even jump into, which you're pretty sure is not a good idea. How do you want to proceed in this room?
All right, let's take it step by step. I'm going to carefully use Starlight to slice through the webs in front of me, making sure to stay alert for any movement from that spider at the far end of the room. I'll move forward slowly, making sure Gray is right behind me. And if anything seems off, I'll be ready to react quickly. Let's do
O-
this.
Okay, give me an attack roll with Starlight.
All right, let's see how Seraphina handles this. Rolling to hit the webs with Starlight, I rolled a 12, and with my attack bonus of +5, that gives us a total of 17. Let's see if that cleanly slices through those webs.
All right, so you do manage to hit the webs, but as you strike at the webs, you notice that uh, it's rather difficult to attempt to stab at webs instead of slash at them, um, because the webs are resistant to piercing damage. I'm gonna need you to roll your damage to see if you would be able to cause enough damage to remove a layer of webs.
All right, let's see how much damage we can do. Rolling damage for Starlight. I rolled a 1 on the d8, and with the +1 from the magical bonus, that's a total of 2 damage. So it looks like it might take a bit more effort to clear these webs with piercing damage. Let's see how that goes.
All right. So as you stab at the webs, you become entangled in the webs. Um, the two becomes one as the webs are resistant. You are now being grappled or restrained by the webs. I believe the correct term is restrained. This doesn't mean you will not be able to finish trying to break out of the webs. At this point, your only hope to escape the webs is to either get Gray to slash at the webs and free you, or on your turn, because we are already in initiative and this is combat, you can attempt to use an athletics check to break free of the webs as an action to continue down the corridor. That is the end of your turn. It is now Gray's turn. Being as there are no monsters visible, you see Gray um, in step with you as he sees Seraphina stab at the webs valiantly. He gives a slight chuckle, seeing as you have created a slight mess. He looks at you and he says, "That was a valiant effort, but it appears you should allow me to slice at the webs. Maybe next time, just hold your action because the spider will be ambushing us. That is how it hunts."
Yeah, in character as Seraphina Vale, I give Gray a sheepish smile, a hint of amusement in my eyes. Not my finest moment, I admit. I'll let you handle the webs from here on out. I nod at Gray appreciatively, ready to follow his lead. We'll get through this one step at a time, and I'll keep an eye out for that spider. With that, I brace myself, ready to support Gray and stay alert for any sign of movement from the lurking spider. Let's see what happens next.
Okay, he's gonna attempt to slash at the spider web with 2 hands. He's gonna roll a 10, which
All right.
is gonna be just enough to slash at the webs. Because he's using slashing, the webs are vulnerable to his attacks. I'm not gonna roll for damage. I'm simply gonna allow you to become freed from the restrained condition, which means you are able to move now. He is going to take steps forward. He's gonna move towards the next webbing and getting ready to slash at the next web. It is now the spider's turn.
All right, let's see what the spider does next. I'm keeping a close eye on the Addos and ready to react if it makes a move. Let the suspense continue.
All right. Being as you were trapped in the web, uh, you are now free from the web, but behind you, you feel a swift breeze and you see the maw of a giant spider. It's going to attempt to attack you. It's going to hit with a. What is your AC right now?
My AC is currently 15, thanks to my dexterity and leather armor. Let's see if that spider manages to land a hit.
Okay, it rolled a 17 to hit, which means it hits.
Oof, that definitely hits. Looks like the spider's got a good aim. I'll brace myself for the damage and see how Seraphina weathers this strike.
Okay, you're gonna take 3 piercing damage, and you need to give me a Constitution saving throw.
Got it. I'll mark down the 3 piercing damage first, which brings Seraphina's HP down from 10 to 7. Now let's roll that Constitution saving throw. Rolling for the Constitution save, I rolled a 15, and with my Constitution modifier of +2, that gives me a total of 17. Hopefully that's enough to resist the spider's venom.
Okay. As you resist the spider's venom, some of it is still gonna damage you. You're going to take 3 poison damage as you are able to withstand the brunt of the bite.
Ouch, that spider bite definitely stings. I'll take the 3 poison damage, which brings Seraphina's HP down from 7 to 4. She's definitely feeling that, but she's still standing strong and ready to keep fighting. Let's see how the next round goes.
All right. Being as the spider has now come out of its hiding spot, Gray instantly turns back, takes the remainder of his movement to close the gap, and attacks the spider with all his might. He's going to make an attack roll. He's going to hit the spider. Let's see. Okay, let me roll for his damage.
All right, let's see how much damage Gray deals to that spider. Hopefully, he can get a solid hit in and help turn the tide of this battle.
As he attacks the spider. Oh, actually, I rolled the wrong damage dice because he is using 2 hands. Let's see.
No worries. Let's roll the correct damage dice and see how much of a glow Gray delivering with that two-handed strike. Hopefully, It's a good solid hit against that spider.
All right. He does 17 slashing damage against this spider, and you notice the spider start to shriek in horror and pain, and a lot of its blood starts to shoot out everywhere. Rather gruesome scene, but you can clearly see that this attack with the longsword that Gray uses has done an immense amount of damage. Gray, noticing that you have a very severe wound, is going to muster extra energy. He's going to summon his let me see what it's called. Is going to summon his action surge so that he can make a second attack in attempt to prevent you from being a victim of bad rolls or simply the victim of a spider bite. Let's see if he hits. He definitely hits. Once again, I'm going to do my slashing damage. That is going to be just enough damage to kill the spider.
Wow, what a relief. Gray definitely came through in the clutch with that action surge. The spider didn't stand a chance against his powerful strikes. And now that the threat is gone, Seraphina can take a deep breath and maybe even share a grateful smile with Gray. Now it's time to patch up those wounds and continue the quest.
Okay, so for all intents and purposes, combat has ended. You are severely wounded with 4 hit points. This is simply the beginning of the dungeon. How do you plan to heal yourself? I am looking at your equipment, and it appears that you forgot to incorporate 3 common healing potions into your equipment. So you could attempt to drink some of those potions to heal up, or you could attempt to see if you can find a safe spot to take a short rest, cast some spells, or just forget about it and continue adventuring the way you are.
Good to know about those healing potions. I think Seraphina will play it safe and use one of them to restore some hit points. That way she's in better shape to handle whatever else the dungeon throws at her. So she'll go ahead and drink one of those potions and then see how much HP she regains.
Okay, do you know what you need to roll when you drink one healing potion common?
Yes, for a common healing potion, I roll 2d4 and add 2 to the total. So let's see how much Seraphina heals up. Rolling 2d4, I rolled a 3 and a 2, which gives us a total of 5. And adding 2 brings it to 7 hit points restored. That should definitely help her feel a lot better.
As you imbibe the potion, you instantly feel your wounds start to close. Uh, the poison that was inside of your wounds seeps out, leaves a nasty smell on your clothing, but you feel way, way better and are way more confident in your current journey. Gray looks at you and he looks tired, breathing heavily. He exerted a lot of energy, but instead of complaining about hard work, he simply says, "Thank you."
In character as Seraphina Vale, I give Bray a warm smile, feeling the strength returning to my limbs. Thank you, Gray. We make a pretty good team, don't we? Uh, I laugh softly, appreciating his resilience and support. Let's keep moving forward carefully this time. I have a feeling there's a lot more to discover in this maze. With that, I adjust my gear, take a deep breath and get ready to continue our adventure deeper into the dungeon.
He looks at you and he gives you a slight smile, gruff in demeanor. Definitely looks worse for wear. He proceeds to um, bombard you with a couple of questions. One, he says, "Who are you? Uh, what are you doing down here?" Um, he says, "Have you seen a backpack or a shield anywhere?" He also asks um, if you plan on conquering this maze or if you plan on leaving now.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I chuckle softly at Gray's barrage of questions, appreciating his curiosity. Well, I'm Seraphina Vale, a bard with a knack for adventure and a love for a good story. I came down here to help find some missing young folks and map out this maze. I glance around thoughtfully. I haven't seen a backpack or shield yet, but we can keep an eye out for them as we go. And as for leaving, I'm not one to quit before the job is done. Let's see this through and make sure we find what we came for.
He looks at you with new resolve and says, "Good, good, good. Uh, I would like to see if my friends are further down. We were all ambushed in the darkness, and I cannot recall much memory, but I know I woke up in this egg. I I I thought I was going to die." He looks around and you see him squinting as he has a hard time trying to discern his environment. He looks at you and he's like, "Do you have any way to illuminate this darkness? Maybe the rest of my gear is scattered and lost in this webbing."
In character as Seraphina Vale, I nod thoughtfully, understanding his concern. That must have been terrifying, Gray. Don't worry, we'll find your friends and your gear. With a smile, I hold up Starlight, my trusty rapier. Luckily, I have a bit of magic up my sleeve. Let's light this place up. I cast dancing lights, sending a few glowing orbs around the room to help us see more clearly. There we go. Now let's see what we can find in all these webs.
Searching for his gear. Give me an investigation check or a perception check, whichever one you want to use.
All right, let's see what we can find. I'll go ahead and roll a perception check to spot anything in the webs. Rolling perception check. I rolled a 12, and with my perception bonus of +3, that gives us a total of 15. Let's see if we can find Gray's gear.
All right. Gray rolled an 18 for investigation. Y'all take the time to look around this room more thoroughly. You notice that some of these eggs definitely appear to still have young spiders being born inside of them. They still haven't hatched, but you know that they are very much alive. Uh, you can attempt to interact with them or leave them alone. It's up to Seraphina. But the current goal is to find the gear. You spend a few minutes looking through the rest of the room. Gray slashes at the webs to give you full access. Uh, he ends up finding his backpack and his gear, and he looks at you and he says, "Give me 10 minutes so I can equip this armor that I have. If you don't mind."
In character as Seraphina Vale, I nod understandingly, giving Gray an encouraging smile. Of course, take your time. I'll keep watch and make sure nothing sneaks up on us while you get suited up. As Gray prepares his gear, I take a moment to glance around the room, keeping an eye on those spider eggs. I decide it's best to leave them be for now. No need to stir up more trouble if we don't have to. Once Gray is ready, we can continue deeper into the maze and see what other adventures await us.
All right. Gray takes the 10 minutes to equip his chainmail. He finds his shield, and you see him clean off all his gear, equips his backpack, goes through his inventory, and he looks at you now that it appears that uh, you are a friendly person. He asks you a few more questions. He says, do you prefer to travel in the darkness, or would you prefer I light one of these torches?
In character as Seraphina Vale, I give Gray a reassuring nod, appreciating his thoughtfulness. A bit of light never hurts, especially in a place like this. If you'd like to light a torch, I think that would be a great idea. It'll help us both see more clearly and keep an eye out for any surprises. I keep my own senses sharp, ready to move forward with our newly found competence and teamwork.
He looks at you and gives you a smile, and he says, I like that thinking. That better be safe than sorry, especially in a place like this. Um, I don't remember much about what's further. I think there's some kind of statue, but off of memory, I might have got hit hard in the back of the head, or I might have fell. I'm I can't be much help. He lights up the torch, and it illuminates the room. You notice a particular detail that the flames appear to completely disintegrate any spider webs that it gets near. So using fire is an extremely useful method of destroying these spider webs, or even to destroy the eggs if you so cared. But you also notice that sometimes when the webbings light, they appear to burn a little bit longer than you hope they would. Luckily, Gray also notices, so he keeps the flames away from directly putting them on the spider webs. But both of y'all do notice that the webbings are extremely flammable in case you wanted to use that for something. But as y'all finish your little 10-minute rest here, you notice there's only one way to proceed forward, and you guys gather at this hallway that goes down about 10 feet and takes a sharp bend to the left. You cannot see what's on the other side of the bend at the moment. Gray looks at you, ready to see what you want to do.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I meet Gray's gaze with a confident smile, appreciating the newfound warmth and light from the torch. All right, let's see what lies ahead. We'll stay cautious and keep our wits about us. Who knows, maybe that statue you remember will give us some clues. I take a step forward, leading the way down the hallway, making sure we move quietly and carefully. Let's find out what's around that corner and see what this maze has in store for us next.
All right. You take your steps forward. Gray next to you. You notice one thing in particular now that Gray has equipped his chainmail. He is rather loud, and it appears that he has a difficult time being stealthy in terms of silent. Now, you do have a torch, so that means being stealthy as in not being seen because you're lurking in the darkness also becomes almost impossible to do. But just because you have light doesn't mean you can't be stealthy. although that does mean that Gray is suffering disadvantage from stealth, so that means trying to move softly without alerting anything might be a task for you exclusively, or for one that you would understand that Gray might slip up a little.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I can help chuckle a bit at the sound of Gray's chainmail as we move forward. Well, I guess subtlety isn't our strong suit right now, I whisper with a grin. But that's okay. Sometimes a little noise can be a good thing. It keeps the shadows on their toes. Um, I stay alert, knowing that we might not be able to move completely silently, but also trusting that we're more than capable of handling whatever comes our way. Let's keep going, Gray. I have a feeling we're getting closer to uncovering some real answers.
Well, I've never been much of a stealthy person myself. I'm more of a brute, if you don't mind. I like to attack and beat up all my problems. Not much of a talker. But it looks like you have a more smooth demeanor, a silver tongue, perchance. Too bad most of the monsters down here couldn't give a damn about anybody's persuasions. As the two of you talk, y'all make it around the bend, and indeed, about 20 feet in front of you appears to be a statue. Uh, from the point that you're standing right now, you notice in full color and full detail what appears to be a 20 by 20 room with a 10 by 10 statue located in the middle. The statue appears to be a big buck or a big elk um, in a pose that appears as if the deer has its head turned slightly, looking at the entrance, which would be looking directly at you two, almost as if an animal noticed you and turned and saw you, except this is a statue. As far as you can tell from your current place, that is all that you see. A statue, a room.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I take in the sight of the statue, intrigued by its lifelike stance. Well, isn't that something? It almost feels like it's watching us, I say with a curious smile. Let's approach carefully. Statues in places like this often have a story to tell, or maybe even a secret to share. I move forward with a blend of caution and curiosity, ready to see if this statue holds any clues or if it's simply another piece of the puzzle in this maze. Let's see what secrets you hold, I whisper to the statue as we get closer.
As you whisper to the statue, Gray, um, with a loud bark, not of yelling, not of anger, but one of authority, one of attention seeking, definitely doesn't do it to like harm you or to startle you, but to draw attention. He rolled a natural 20 on his investigation check of this room, and as you approach and speak to the statue like, what secrets are you holding? He yells, "No, wait, retreat! There's something there's something above the statue. Do not get any closer." I need you to roll for initiative.
Oh, that definitely gets my attention. All right, let's see how quick on our feet we can be. Time to roll for initiative and see how we handle whatever's waiting about that statue. Here we go.
All right. What did you roll?
I rolled a 14, and with my +2 initiative bonus, that gives me a total of 16. Let's see how we do in this encounter.
All right. You're up first. You stop immediately as he brings attention to something that he believes to be suspicious. He says, above the statue, there's something odd happening to the light. Uh, as initiative has now commenced, he's not able to provide you with any further information. How do you want to proceed on your turn?
Yeah, in character as Seraphina Vale, I nod quickly, trusting Gray's instincts. Got it. I'll step back for a moment. I take a cautious step back from the statue, keeping my eyes on whatever might be lurking above it. I ready my rapier, Starlight, and prepare to defend or react depending on what happens next. Let's see what we're dealing with here.
Okay, so are you attempting to hold your action to make a melee attack? Attempting to observe something?
Yes, I'll hold my action to make a melee attack with Starlight if anything hostile comes within range. In the meantime, I'll stay alert and keep an eye on whatever's above that statue, ready to react at a moment's notice.
All right. Um, it is now the creature's turn. If there was a creature there, which apparently doesn't, nothing happens, so you're not able to detect anything. It is now Gray's turn. Gray, seeing you retreat, he takes out his crossbow, notches a crossbow with a 13. He shoots above the statue. You notice that the bolt appears to be floating magically in the middle of the air. Uh, as the boat hits it, it's going to do 7 points of damage, and you see the boat begin to dissolve in the air. He says, whatever it is, it appears to be able to dissolve metal. I would be really careful how we approach this. Do you have any way to attack from a range? Now, even if you do have a way, he attacked randomly into the air. There is nothing that you can really see up there besides what appears to be a blur in the air. It is now your turn.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I give Gray a quick nod, appreciating his warning. Got it. I do have a couple of tricks up my sleeve. I step back a bit more and ready my hand, focusing on one of my cantrips. Let's see if we can reveal this thing. I cast Vicious Mockery in the direction of the blur, hoping that the psychic energy will connect and maybe even give us a better idea of what we're dealing with. Come out wherever you are.
All right. As you wave your hands to cast Vicious Mockery, um, I like to imagine Vicious Mockery as a sort of insult or some kind of jest. Uh, you tell it to come out wherever it is, and indeed there does appear to be something there. It fails its check. Roll for damage.
All right, let's see what kind of impact we make. Rolling damage for a Vicious Mockery. I rolled a 3 on the d4, so that's 3 psychic damage. Plus, the creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll. Hopefully, that gives us a little more insight and an advantage in this encounter.
All right. As you do 3 points of damage to whatever is up there, you start to finally notice what it is. Above the statue, motionless, lifeless, a blur appears. It starts to come out of its hiding spot, and it looks like a fluid, a viscous jelly, a slime, an ooze starts to drip down on the statue slowly but surely. It begins to march towards the two of you. It lacks the movement to make it all the way towards the two of you, but it does get within 10 feet of you. It is now Gray's turn. Gray is simply going to attempt to notch another arrow. Um, he's hoping that if he's able to damage it, might kill it. If not, you might be able to finish it off. Let's see what he rolls. Okay, he rolls a 19 to hit, which I think might be a crit. Actually, it's not a crit. He is going to do 5 points of damage, which is more than enough to finish off whatever this creature was that dripped down from the roof. In front of you is now a lifeless blob that makes slight hissing sounds as if it is uh, made out of acid or some kind of corroded uh, substance. And you notice that all the metal tips of the crossbows have completely dissolved. You're now out of initiative.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I let out a relieved breath and flash Gray a grateful smile. Wow, that was definitely something. Great shot, Gray. I'm glad we spotted that before it got too close. I take a moment to examine the remains of the ooze, noting its corrosive nature. We'll have to be extra careful moving forward. Who knows what else is waiting for us in here. With the immediate danger gone, I refocus on the statue and the room, curious about what other secrets this maze might hold. Let's keep exploring and see what we can uncover.
Okie dokie. Give me an investigation check as you take the time to thoroughly look over this deer to see what secrets it holds.
All right, let's see what we can find. Rolling investigation check. I rolled a 10, and with my +0 modifier, that gives me a total of 10. Let's see if that's enough to uncover any hidden details.
All right, Gray rolled a 5, and his investigation is a +1, giving him a 6. It definitely appears that Gray is a little stumped. Uh, you do notice that his attention appears to be diverted more towards the pile of goop that is now a dead creature that is on the floor, and he joyfully is throwing rocks into it and other kinds of detritus to see what all it can dissolve. He pokes it with a piece of wood that he found or he had on him in his inventory, and it looks like it doesn't dissolve the wood or the rocks. Uh, it definitely looks like his attention is somewhere else. With your 10, you take the time to thoroughly look over the statue, and to the unseen eye, it just looks like a weird deer just observing the entrance, guarding it like some kind of sentinel or something of the like. But you notice that one of its antlers appears to be slightly off center, as if it is either a lever or off kilter, maybe broken. You can't really tell.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I gently reach out to touch the off center antler, examining it closely. This is interesting. It might be some kind of mechanism or a hidden lever. I glance over at Gray, who's still poking at the remains of the ooze, and chuckle softly. Hey, Gray, I think I might have found something. Let's see what happens when we give this a little push or pull. I carefully test the antler to see if it moves, ready for whatever surprise it might reveal.
He looks at you and he's like, "Well, you are certainly much better at this than me. I'm glad you were able to see that because I didn't. Go ahead and give it a nice hearty push, and I'll take my sword out, and in case anything tries to jump us another slime, I'll be ready." You go ahead and grab the other antler, and you pull it, you push it, and you feel it give way, and you correct the antler's positioning. And as you do, you notice a wall on the other side of the deer. If the deer's face is turned to look at the entrance, the door that opens up would be on the opposite side of the entrance. You see the secret door slowly but surely start to um, provide you a means of progressing into the next area.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I grin at Gray, feeling a sense of accomplishment as the secret door reveals itself. Well, looks like we found our way forward. Good thing we didn't let that ooze get the best of us. I take a step toward the newly opened passage, feeling a mix of excitement and curiosity. Ready to see what's next? Let's keep our guard up. Who knows what other surprises this maze has in store for us? With that, I lead the way into the next area, ready for the next chapter of our adventure.
All right, let's go in there. As the two of y'all convene at the newly found secret door, you notice that it appears to be a hallway directly opposite of where the secret door opens up. There appears to be a wooden door. To the right is a wall, and to the left a corridor. The corridor appears to be empty, but at the far end there is either a floor, a hole, or a set of steps. You can't tell at your current distance.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I pause for a moment, taking in the layout of the new space. Well, we've got a few choices here. That wooden door looks intriguing, but that corridor might lead us to another part of the maze. I glance over at Gray with a curious smile. What do you think? Should we check out the door first or see where that corridor leads? Either way, I'm ready to keep exploring and uncover whatever secrets this maze still holds.
Gray holding a torch in one hand and holding the longsword in the other, shield on his back. He looks at you and he's like, "Well, you know me. I'm only good at hitting things, and if you watch my back, I don't mind hitting that door down unless you have a better idea. Maybe I could just turn the knob, or maybe I could just kick it in. What do you think?"
In character as Seraphina Vale, I laugh softly, appreciating Gray's straightforward approach. Well, let's try the knob first and see if it's unlocked. No need to kick it down if we don't have to. But if it's stuck or locked, then by all means, give it a good push. I ready myself behind Gray, prepared for whatever we might find on the other side of that door. Let's do this.
He looks at you and he audibly gives you a, oh, all right, we'll do it your way. It's fine. He puts the sword back in its hilt and he reaches for the doorknob and he turns it and it pops open and he pushes it in and it has a slight creaking noise and the both of you notice unceremoniously what appears to be a closet, a broom closet. It's a small, maybe big enough for a humanoid to stand in there comfortably. What look like shelves that have long become dilapidated. What appears to be an old broom that sits in the corner collecting spider webs, and across from that is a singular wooden bucket that still appears to be usable.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I can't help but laugh softly at the discovery. Well, that's not quite the treasure trove I was expecting, but you never know when a good broom or a bucket might come in handy. I give Gray a playful shrug. At least we know what's behind this door. Let's take note of it and keep that corridor in mind. It seems like that might be the way forward. With a smile, I step back, ready to explore the next path and see what other surprises await us.
He looks at you and he's like, "Well, it could have been, this could have been a barrack for a very small person. You could have had a bucket as a helmet and a broom as a weapon. You never know. There's a lot of deadly uses for these items in here, or they could just be a generic, storage room. Who knows? I'm not that smart. Well, it's good to know that these items are here. Maybe they might be of use to us. Maybe they might not. I don't have a way to like carry these items on me. I don't have a bag of holding or anything like that, and I certainly do not want to have a bucket in one hand, a torch in the other, and carry it through the rest of this dungeon unless I have to.
In character as Seraphina Vale, I laugh at Gray's imagination. You know, you're right. Anything can be useful in the right hands. But for now, let's leave the bucket and broom here. If we need them, we'll know where to find them. I gesture toward the corridor with a smile. Let's see what lies ahead. I have a feeling we're getting closer to something interesting. With that, I lead the way down the corridor, ready for the next chapter of our adventure.
All right. You continue to go down the small corridor. It's only about 20 feet long, and as you start to approach the end of the hallway, you notice that it is not a hole, it is indeed a set of stairs.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice. You can switch to standard now to keep chatting.
Well, looks like we hit the limit, boys. I'm gonna have to end this stream. We're just gonna have to see what happens next time as we descend down this maze. So, if you weren't here at the start, I mentioned that I had to create a whole new chat, which means that Seraphina was suffering from hallucinations, which are just a term for AI that can't remember correctly what has been occurring and what is happening. Uh, it it does feel as if she's understanding like how to progress and whatnot. Her character still kind of seems the same. Um, my biggest goal was to create a way that doesn't require knowing intricate coding or vast knowledge of prompts to have a session that you could use. Um, I will remind you guys one more time, if you attempt to do this, I don't even know if that song was copywritten or not. If you attempt to do this, um, make sure that you keep a chat specifically for any of your sessions and only do sessions in that chat. Yesterday after the game, I attempted to give Seraphina more character and just ask it overall how I felt about the campaign and whatnot. And apparently, that chat became too complex. I was getting it to create images, and I got it to create images over all kinds of things. As you can see, here's how it represents itself doing the spider fight. Um, so yeah, if you do this, keep a one chat and just use it. Otherwise, I will see you guys. I don't know if I'm gonna do it tomorrow because I have to wait 24 hours between using advanced mode, and that means that I've been slowly but surely going longer and longer. So if I were to do it tomorrow, I'd have to start a session at 3 a.m. my time. So I think I might just skip Friday and try to do a session Saturday sometime early, probably about, I don't know, 12 or something like that, or 11. Just depends. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you have any ideas, any hints, anything you want to ask me, go ahead. I will be continuing Seraphina's adventures, and if multiple people enjoy it, we might turn this one-shot experiment into a well thought out adventure with rules and an actual plot. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching, and subscribe if you like